Hi and welcome to SCW here on YouTube.com reviewing WrestleMania 37. Of course, night one is in the books. WWE is back in business, and before we actually got to the show, just to say, having a look at the staging with the pirate ship, of course, the big pirate ship that was made there, the Raymond James Stadium, absolutely fantastic. Got to be one of the best designed sets in WrestleMania history. WWE really did go all out here, so it's really good to see that the pirate theme was brought back and we was able to actually have WrestleMania this year, which was supposed to be last year in the Raymond James Stadium. It's good that it did go back this year, but of course WWE are doing all the precautions necessary here to try and make a safe environment for all the fans there. 25,000 were in attendance with COVID restrictions. Of course, the full seat, I think, was something like 68,000, so you can see it's not a full capacity. And as much as WWE went to those lengths, there was one thing they couldn't protect themselves from, and that was the weather. WWE love a heel turn, didn't they? And of course, fans love a heel turn at WrestleMania. They didn't really think weather would be one of them. Thunderstorms was actually predicted at one point. The whole place had to be evacuated. You really did feel for fans, and there was actually fear whether the show would be able to go ahead on time as well. But thankfully, the thunder did pass, and to be fair, I thought we'd already left the Thunderdome. I won't lie to you there, but fans were thankfully able to be brought back, and we were able to start the show on time. The show did kick off with Vince McMahon on the middle of the stage with every WWE superstar socially distanced around him, and Vince McMahon thanking the fans and saying that they've been missing for the last 12 months, and it's great to have them back. It's what makes this so special. So this was a really touching moment. I really enjoyed it. I kind of felt like myself, like, this is WrestleMania, it's here, and this is actually happening after such a long time with no fans and pandemic errors and Thunderdomes and stuff like that. To actually have this real feeling for the first time in over a year, it felt very special, so I really liked that. Going into the video package, that was pretty fun. It was very similar to last year, but I liked the way it was put together. It was very entertaining. I enjoyed it, and yeah, it brought us into the show, and we thought we were going to get straight into our first match, but unfortunately wasn't to be the case, was it? The weather did strike again, unfortunately. So after that moment, we think we're finally going to get it. The whole place had to be evacuated again, and we had a 40 or 35 minute to 40 minute delay. One of the most entertaining things about this was Michael Cole and Samoa Joe in Rain Max. That was quite fun to see. Singing in the rain, I think they were kind of hoping to hear Rihanna's lyrics of "You Can Stand Under My Umbrella, Ella." I think that's what they were hoping for anyway. But WWE, if there's one thing over the last 12 months they've managed to make the best of a bad situation, and what they did was they went numerous backstage interviews backstage with backstage personalities and all these superstars doing unscripted promos. It was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The time flew by. We had the likes of Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, albeit the mic wanted to cut out on Owens, The New Day, there was so many more, and it was fantastic unscripted promos. WWE needs to do this more often. I think this would be the great way to do kickoff shows probably going forward, rather than seeing Pete Rosenberg the whole time. And I mean, to be fair, it just shows the talent. They can do unscripted stuff. This felt real. I felt real personality coming through the screen. Even with the interviewers, I felt something. It was really special. It was really nice. It was enjoyable. I mean, like I say, it just was something that was something completely different and unexpected and on the fly. And I think WWE deserves credit for that. Like I say, the show must go on, and they found a way to keep it going. But thankfully, after that 40 minute mark, we were able to get everybody back in, and before our first match, our WrestleMania host did come out. It was Titus World Slide, but unfortunately, no sliding from Titus. I was very disappointed. I thought that was his gimmick, but he came out anyway, and of course, hyping up the crowd. Hulk Hogan also coming out, hyping up the crowd, but of course, the crowd weren't really favourable of Hogan. There was boos for Hulk Hogan, we'll leave it there. But yeah, my thoughts were with these as WrestleMania hosts, for me, it didn't connect. I would have preferred someone else in the role, but I am pleased with Titus O'Neil because of the fact he is from Tampa, and he's very well deserving of his Hall of Fame Warrior Award as well. So I am pleased for him that he did have this moment. You could see it felt very special to him. But let's go into the first match then of the night, shall we then? Finally getting there after 40 minutes, the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre was the first one in front of fans, getting cheered highly, and especially as well, Bobby Lashley, of course, the champion, then coming out. Two fantastic entrances as well, of course, Drew with his sword, and of course all the pyro going off around him as well. And Bobby Lashley with his sort of, thunder hitting the stage as well, that sort of lightning thing, the almighty one. This sort of felt really special. It felt a really big deal. These two have been two of the best booked superstars in amongst the whole roster during this pandemic era, and this match was just awesome. I really enjoyed it. It was hard-hitting, physical, being thrown around the ring. I just love it, from like the belly-to-belly overhead Lashley going over to the power game of Lashley stopping Drew, getting momentum. We thought towards the end of the match that Drew was going to go and hit the Claymore. I mean, everyone and their grand thought Drew would actually win this match, but MVP screamed something out and it distracted Drew McIntyre, so the fact he missed his Claymore. Lashley then managed to take advantage and he gets the Hurt Lock in, and obviously previous times in this match Drew was probably trying to find his way out of it. This time he was locked straight in the Hurt Lock and he didn't tap out, he passed out. This was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a big surprise. It reminds me a lot of WrestleMania 34. Everybody thought Roman Reigns would beat Brock Lesnar. It was that big shock at the end of the night with, hang on, Brock retained. We didn't see that coming. Fans didn't want Drew to win here. This is a masterstroke of booking because everyone knows it's Lashley's time. And if it was WWE, realises that as well. And Drew McIntyre can go on to like a redemption story here. Drew McIntyre, it's almost like John Cena at WrestleMania 28, losing that big match. This was meant to be Drew's moment in front of fans. It really adds more layer to the character, personality and passion from Drew. Where does he go here? I hope he goes to start at the bottom of the ladder and has to work his way back up, maybe towards SummerSlam, maybe even next year's WrestleMania, and get that big win at the big show, because I can promise you that time fans won't be booing. Fans would have only booed Drew if he actually won the championship there, because of the fact that Drew's had a long reign with the championship. It was someone else's turn. It's nothing to do with Drew being booked as a babyface or how he's been booked. He's been booked fantastic. Drew is amazing, and I think now they've done this, they can add that to his character and his backstory. Drew was passionate as well, and he can use the excuse of the fact that the match had to be delayed 40 minutes. That sort of stuff can really play into things, that emotionally he was all over the place in his interview, and he can say that the emotions got the better of him, the occasion got too much for him, and he can use that going forward. And I think Drew McIntyre will have that big superstar moment probably at WrestleMania, probably be next year, and I really do think fans will really go for it. On the other flip side of this, Bobby Lashley, fantastic. Didn't see it coming. Really happy he's still got the championship. He's got new opponents. It's going to feel fresh around the WWE Championship picture. Yes, I'm still a bit with the Hurt Business breaking up. I stand by my previous video. It was a big mistake to break them up. But at the same time, I do look at this and I think to myself, job well done. We've got a fresh championship picture. Bobby Lashley, there's room for a rematch straight away if they want to do it. I personally would hold it off, and I'd give Bobby Lashley new challenges. Can we get Brock back for a match at some point for Lashley and Brock Lesnar? One can only hope, one can only pray. It probably won't happen, but damn it, it's WrestleMania and I want to believe. We had Bayley backstage trying to too sweet the NWO and Titus O'Neil. Of course, she was in a Ding Dong Hello gear. Wasn't really coming off very well with the Legends backstage. And next was Tag Team Turmoil, which for me, this should have been on the WrestleMania SmackDown. I feel this match under-delivered. It was underwhelming, unfortunately. It just felt very rushed. The whole match was just messy. And I think the weather didn't really help it, so I want to forgive because, I mean, it was wet around ringside. You could see that. It was still wet everywhere, slippery. You know, it's not good for a wrestling environment, but the show, as I say, did go on, and Lashley and Drew made a fantastic match out of the situation. The ladies, unfortunately, here, Tag Team Turmoil, you haven't got that time to really build a story. It's kind of rushing team in, team out, and I don't know, the action itself just felt messy. But going into it, Carmelo and Billie Kay got the first victory over Lana and Naomi. I like the way it was done with Billie Kay rolling up and actually Carmella using her feet to actually give leverage as well. That was quite fun. It played into the second match. They tried to do it again on the Riot Squad, but the referee caught it this time. The Riot Squad did manage to get the victory to move on to the next stage, pinning Billie Kay as well. Kind of goes into their narrative of what they had going in before WrestleMania. I want to say quickly, Carmella had a good showing. I do think of all the women in the match, I think she looked like a star throughout. Following this was Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke, and weird enough, the only one of the night, I said about Titus World's side, it was Mandy Rose who unfortunately slipped and fell on the stage. You've got to feel sorry for her a little bit, haven't you? But yeah, looking at things here with them, they didn't actually do very well in this match, unfortunately. Didn't really recover. Rose and Brooke actually were eliminated. They didn't get a win over the Right Squad, leaving the Right Squad to go against the final team of Natalya and Tamina. Natalya and Tamina picking up the victory in the end there. Sort of had the heart attack, which was, of course, what was the Heart Foundation back in the day, and Natalya giving Tamina the big WrestleMania moment with the splash, the Jimmy Fire Snooker splash off the top rope to pick the pinfall over the Right Squad, and they go on to the next night on Sunday, where I think they will be winning those Women's Tag Team Championships from Baszler and Nia Jax. The fans were not really into that match, but next match they had a real good investment to get into it. Cesaro against Seth Rollins, and what an incredible match. Honestly, an Indie Darlings favourite, and I can say it just from the start that the energy, the passion, the levels from these two, the work rate, absolutely fantastic. The transitions between moves were absolutely seamless. It was just, wow, it was a breath of fresh air. And the storytelling narrative in the match as well was really good. Seth Rollins working on Cesaro's arm, so, you know, when he tried to do uppercuts and swings, he wasn't quite effective. The first swing, there was only 9 of them. He couldn't really do any more because where it was playing up a little bit. But Seth Rollins looked like he was going to go for the win. He was going for the curb stomp. It went up, and he went straight into the uppercut from Cesaro. And from there, Cesaro just was the machine. He just didn't stop from there. I do feel a little bit that I had this impression that maybe they were trying to recreate WrestleMania 31 with Seth going higher in the air, but obviously, like I say, with the way the conditions were, you kind of have to forgive that a bit. That didn't kind of play that way, and it still looked absolutely incredible. So even if it was meant to look like before, you wouldn't know really. It looked awesome. But yeah, from there onwards, I mean, Cesaro did 23 swings. He did a UFO where it was like an aeroplane spin without using his arms. That looked awesome as well. And then actually using the neutralizer to pick up the 3 count. And Cesaro visibly, you could just see the emotion, passion coming out of him there. That felt like that's his WrestleMania moment. It's a big time for him. The wasted potential, now you can see that potential. A big one-on-one win at WrestleMania. Cesaro there. Incredible performance. And I really hope he goes on to something for him. Money in the Bank, Intercontinental Championship, you know, even the World Championship sort of picture, he needs to be pushed up further up the card because Cesaro truly deserves it. It's been criminally far too long Cesaro's not been in and around the picture. He finally is there. This really could be his time. Seth Rollins, great job in putting him over. Great new entrance theme music as well from Seth Rollins. Really liked that also. And there was a match that Seth just didn't need to win. It doesn't harm him at all. He can go back into SmackDown and he can do whatever he wants going forward from here. Next was match for the Raw Tag Team Championships, The New Day taking on AJ Styles and Omos. This was a fun match, and what I really liked as well about it, that Big E actually did the announcement for The New Day coming to the ring, just a nice little reunion. Felt WrestleMania, didn't it? I quite liked that. I do wonder if WWE's teasing the waters of whether The New Day should get back together as a trio at some point further down the line, but I enjoy that for what it was. But the match was interesting because Omos was on the outside for the majority of the match. AJ Styles was in with The New Day for a long time. It was almost as if roles were reversed. The babyfaces were working on the heel. It was almost like I say, New Day with the heels and AJ was the babyface. It was kind of a weird dynamic in the match, but it certainly was fun to see. New Day quite dominant until AJ finally managed to make the tag, and this was a long delay to get the tag. Fans ate it up. They really cheered for the hot tag of Omos coming into the ring. Everyone was, clearly it was the attraction, what people wanted to see, the unknown, how will Omos fare in the ring, and he did very well. I thought it was awesome because I think his moveset, I mean, it was simple, but it was effective, and it's what you want to see out of the big man. He doesn't need to be flying around the ring and doing those sort of big moves. He was effective by just doing simple moves in the ring, whether it was a backbreaker, whatever it was, and the fact is he actually lifted Kofi high in the air, 2 hands up, and threw him down. It was like a 2-arm sort of choke slam kind of thing, however you want to look at it, and then he pinned Kofi by putting 1 foot on him for the 3 count. Dominant, fans were all over it. I feel a little bit sorry for Kofi. Remember 2 years ago, Kofi Mania? Not fun to see him pinned that way. But the thing is, here, this is all about making a new star, and a new star in Omos. And I think he looked great on night 1. AJ Styles clearly celebrating the fact that he's got a monster of a tag team partner here, and that going forward, you know, these two probably going to be dominant tag team champions, seeing the Raw brand develop a tag team division, hopefully from this. And when they're ready, they can break this team up. But for now, on this night, this worked really well. The crowd really were into it. Perfect, can't complain about it. It was really, really good. Next then was the steel cage match between Braun Strowman and Shane McMahon. Now I did say the build was absolutely awful, but I had hopes for the cage match itself, and the match delivered. It was really good. Shane McMahon waiting in the cage, And of course, Braun Strowman attacked before going in by Elias and Jackson Riker. This gave Shane to have the advantage. I mean, still chair shots on Braun, actually taking a bit of a steel plate off the top of the cage as well. But Braun got back into the match, and just when Shane thought to himself he was going to be leaving the cage, going out, he's sort of on the other side of the cage. He thought there's no way to catch him. He puts an arm in to sort of wave at Braun. Braun has nothing to do with that. He grabs hold of Shane's hand, pulls him in, and actually pulls the cage apart before actually pulling Shane back into the ring. This was a really cool visual, really fun to see. And then from there, I mean, it just was absolute destruction from there. It was the monster you wanted to see, both of them on top of the cage, and Shane McMahon just literally being thrown off into the ring. I suggested that perhaps he was going to be thrown off through an announce table. That probably didn't seem sensible, despite the fact of how things were now with the rain and stuff. I mean, the commentary team throughout the most of the night couldn't actually be behind the commentary table due to fear if there was thunder. So they're actually standing in front of the table for the majority of the evening. But yeah, Shane was thrown off of the cage into the ring, landing back first. Of course, then we had the power slam afterwards. Braun Strowman picking up the 1, 2, 3. Clearly, the end of this feud. Hopefully, this is hopefully done. We can move forward. It hasn't been a good rivalry, but the WrestleMania match was fantastic. Like I say, I don't forget what's happened before, but you know what? I'll forgive a little bit. This cage match was fun. We had a video package for what WrestleMania 38 is going to look like. Looking forward to that. Of course, going to be the A&T Stadium. Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course, was the face of that as well. Be good to see it going back to Texas. I imagine WWE will want to make that the highest attended WrestleMania of all time if things can be back to normal by that point. We also got a visual as well for WWE 2K22. Hits differently. Well, I really hope it does. And unless you bring GM mode back, I'm not buying. So that's just a quick shout out to 2K for you there. But next was the long entrances for Miz and Morrison, which they had a load of bunnies coming out, almost like rosebud bunnies as well. There must have been about 30 of them in the ring dancing around. Miz and Morrison coming out to Hey Hey Hot Pop, which I thought was really fun. The rapping, of course, as well on the mic, which you clearly see their mics were turned off for most of the time. But hey, I enjoyed it anyway for what it was. I thought it was fun entrances. This was clearly the celebrity attraction match, and they wanted to give as much attraction to this match as possible, catering to all audiences. The bunnies and stuff like that, the Mickey take of all that. For what it was, it's very Miz and Morrison. It's very fun. It is what it is. Damien Priest had a good entrance as well, coming out to the ringside area first, but he was unaccompanied by Bad Bunny, which is probably a good thing because you want Priest to stand alone. He's not just the sidekick to Bad Bunny, but Bad Bunny had the big entrance, didn't he? Sort of driving on a sort of a lorry. He was on top of that and then coming into the ring. Yeah, it was quite fun to see. Really enjoyed that. And yeah, we got to the match itself, and Bad Bunny took the bold move of doing the majority of this match. You would have said, many people would have said, well, he haven't got to do a lot here. The other guys can do a lot of the work, and Bad Bunny coming for the big WrestleMania moments. Clearly the opposite. Bad Bunny put in a great performance, having, you know, some good moves with the Miz, whether it's being, you know, punches and stuff like that, reversals and stuff, the catch hand at the start. Miz was actually fantastic in his role as well. I really liked what he presented. I love the fact that, you know, his facials and stuff and how he got wound up. But eventually, they did get the upper hand on Bad Bunny, and he sold really, really well. But Bad Bunny managed to get back into things with a DDT from the second rubber tornado DDT. That looked really cool. Damien Priest getting the hot tag and getting into the action. But that wasn't the finish of Bad Bunny. We actually saw him actually flying off the top rope with a high cross body to the floor, and even a Canadian destroyer, or a bunny destroyer if you want, on John Morrison on the floor. That looked absolutely epic. Damien Priest hitting his finisher in mid-ring there for the Miz, and then Bad Bunny coming off the top rope with a splash for the win. Bad Bunny, massively impressive performance. Really enjoyed this. He's really given everything to WWE in his time. You can see he's a mega fan. He's a big platinum star, and there will be a lot of eyes attracted to this. This is going to be positive all around from WWE. Damien Priest being associated is great. I would have liked to have seen Priest get the pinfall and perhaps maybe be a bit more dominant in the match, but you know what? The association, all things are very positive for me. I really enjoyed this. This was a 15-minute match. It was, you know, I would say it felt like a 15-minute match, but I think everything ticked all the boxes here. It delivered. It certainly was much better than expected, because Bad Bunny, I didn't expect Pat McAfee, but it could have been a disaster show. It wasn't. A great performance from Bad Bunny. Deserves a lot of credit to what he given in this match, and the right winners of Bad Bunny and Damien Priest. Main event time then, and it's the SmackDown Women's Championship. Of course, Sasha Banks defending the championship against Bianca Belair. A great video package before the match. They really liked the song that was included on it as well. You could see the emotion with both of them, actually smiling, tears coming down Bianca's face just before as the match is going to set. Look, this is real emotion. These ladies getting this moment. This is the biggest moment of their careers, a main event of WrestleMania. Probably could only have ever dreamt of it, and they're actually doing it. So I immediately connected in with Bianca. I kind of felt like that, yeah, this is the biggest moment of your career, and you can actually become a star by winning this match. And as soon as that bell hit, these two absolutely delivered. My favourite match of the night. The save for the main event was absolutely superb. Sasha Banks being, a fantastic calculating heel, using Bianca's hair, ever given opportunity to try and get the advantage. I love the fact that the strength and a power game, just to give some really, lovely looking spots from Bianca. Sasha going for a suicide dive out of the ring, and Bianca rolling through with it on the floor to then lift Sasha above her head, walk up the steel steps, and throw it in the ring. That was incredible. Honestly, thoroughly enjoyed that spot then, and Bianca always using that power game throughout this match. And like I said, the hair was a big part of this, where Sasha was using her tactics to sort of roll it around in the ring ropes to get attacks in, even using it to get submission moves in to actually link into the Banks statement. And this was a point where you kind of felt yourself, maybe Sasha Banks is going to retain here, but Bianca managed to find her way out of it, and she was sick of her hair being used against her. We saw a very powerful whip, and the sound effect on it was worse than the leg slap, honestly, for a super kick. It was just so painful, and the mark it left on Sasha Banks as well. You could see the big sort of red cut as well. It looked absolutely devastating. Eventually, Bianca Belair hitting the KOD and getting the 1, 2, 3, and we got a brand new SmackDown Women's Champion. This match was absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed it. It fitted perfectly being in the main event. Forget the build. This was outstanding, and we've got a new star made as the show goes off the air. Bianca Belair holding up that SmackDown Women's Championship. Her family at ringside almost jumping over the barricade, having to hold themselves back. It was a great visual to see. And yeah, this was absolutely incredible. Really, really enjoyed this. This was solid stuff here. And I think this feud, it doesn't necessarily have to be finished. We can see a rematch perhaps on the next pay-per-view. And like I say, you remember these WrestleMania moments, and for the women's sort of division, it's needed a new star or two for a while now. This is a breath of fresh air. We've seen the Four Horsemen for a long time. People like Asuka have been pushed as well. But now, Bianca Belair, she came to the main roster last year at last year's WrestleMania. She's now winning the championship in the main event at this year's WrestleMania. And Bianca, honestly, she could be a star for the company for years to come. This is really special. This could be a groundbreaking moment, not just for us fans that's watching consistently, but also for those casual fans watching around that come in just for WrestleMania, because they can connect with this. They've got a new star to believe in. Someone like Bianca, seeing that emotion, seeing the power game, seeing that this girl can deliver. This could be something that younger members of the WWE universe can actually look and connect to and aspire to be like. So this is a really big monumental moment in wrestling, and for Bianca Belair, I honestly think this could be just the start of what is to come. But that is night one for you there, and then to give my thoughts and takes over what I think of the overall show, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, particularly, let's take the first 40 minutes into account of the show, that WWE had to book things on the fly here. It's a 3-hour, 40-minute show. Without that, this would have been a solid 3-hour show. We had 3 fantastic matches in the main event there, like I said, with Bianca and Sasha. Cesar and Seth Rollins was flawless as well. That was my very close to second match of the night. And also, Drew and Bobby Lashley was incredible as well. A very hard-hitting, physical opening encounter. The only match really that didn't deliver for me was the tag team Turmoil. Unfortunately, that was a bit of a dud, so it does bring the grade down a little bit. But the other matches involved, the cage match, Bad Bunny's celebrity performance, which arguably has to be one of the best celebrity involvements in all time in wrestling history. We're talking as well, Omos making his debut, the way that story was told in that championship match. Everything was very good, and also very well paced. A show flows nicely. No matter what, you don't have to have 5-star classics all the time. If the show paces at a nice fast pace and you'll think, God, we're already at this match. I kind of had that vibe of feeling some of my favourite WrestleManias watching this show. So for that, it really brings the grade up. I'm giving this WrestleMania for night one here a solid 8.5 out of 10. That's right, 8.5 out of 10. I think it was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed it. If it wasn't for that women's match, I think for me that it would have probably gone for a 9, possibly even a 9.5. The fact that I've given it a 0.5 extra as well for the fact that WWE managed to keep things interesting while, the weather tried to stop play. They tried to affect the show going on. Thankfully, the show could go on with everything they did with all the interviews and stuff. It was fun. It was exciting. It kept everything flowing. And I say from the start here, WWE obviously had the focus of knocking this show out of the park. And on this night one, they certainly have delivered, as I said, 8.5 out of 10. I will be back tomorrow for part 2, so make sure to keep an eye on the channel. The part 2 review will be coming, and I will connect these in full as well for one big long review. Maybe people want to just see night 1 and night 2, WrestleMania 37, the overall score. You will get that as part of part 2 tomorrow, so make sure to come and check out on the channel. So close now to 1,000 subscribers, just a few away, so if we can get there, thank you for your support. I really would appreciate it if we can get to the 1,000 milestone. And as well as that, I want to give a big thank you as well to all the channels that I was on yesterday. Jonesy Chats Wrestling for a SmackDown review. I want to thank Rated R Wrestling as well for being on there for WrestleMania 1. Going to be on there today as well for night 2 of WrestleMania predictions also. And also I want to give a big shout out to Tom Colohue as well. A lot of fun being on that also. So thank you to everyone that's had me on their channel. Let's listen to me talk about wrestling. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of that. And obviously if you've watched those and you come here to watch this as well, I hope you enjoyed me being on that, and I'm glad you've come here to this channel as well. For the people existing that have been here for a long time, thank you as always for your continued support. It really does mean a lot. And yeah, WrestleMania season, this has been a great start. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Many more things are coming away on the channel, and it starts off with tomorrow with the night 2 review. But that's all for me. Thank you for watching. Take care. Have yourselves a great day. You've been watching SCW here on YouTube.